Welcome to today's episode of Between Neens and Deens. My name is Nina, and I'm joined by my best friend, partner, and baby daddy, Dayon.
And together, we're a couple of 20-something-year-olds just trying to navigate this whole first-time parenting thing.
So we're laying it all out there and talking about all the things you wish your parents told you about love, sex, and happiness. Friendship breakups suck.
They're honestly worse than relationship breakups.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like when I went through, I have like one very dramatic friendship breakup, and that one was so painful. I was just like straight sobbing, like I couldn't stop crying.
Tell me about this one. I can't even remember it.
It was with my friend from university.
Oh my god, yes, okay.
Yeah, so we were, honestly, he was like my best friend, and I guess like I should preface it by saying that like we did hook up, and I was like interested in like dating him in our first year of college, but then he was like, yeah, no, like I'm not interested in that. And he had never really had, I guess, like a really good friend that was a girl before, and so I was like, okay, like that's fine, like if you're not interested, but I still do think you're a really cool person, and you know, in university it's hard to make friends because you're just like grappling at anybody that you kind of can. And so I was like, yeah, I'd still want to be friends with you because like you seem really cool, like we have very like similar taste in music, and it's just like really fun to hang out. So he was like, yeah, for sure. But then I think because he had never been friends with a girl before, he didn't know like what that relationship would look like, because it was like either you kind of have like friends that are peripheral, you know, and like not super close, or you hook up with them. Like he didn't have any experience, you know. So even though he was like, yeah, like let's be friends, he just kind of disappeared, and we like didn't talk to each other for a while. And then after,
but were you guys like, did you guys share moments that were like really, I guess, like really deep and like brought y'all closer as like really close friends?
No, so this is the very beginning of our relationship. Okay. So like we met like in one of our classes in the first year of university, and we actually like went to, like, it was like my first first pub night at UBC. We went to the Pit Pub together.
That's the one. Isn't that the only one though?
Yeah, well, there's like Kerner's too, but like we went to the Pit, which is like the old one was grimy. Like I'm so grateful that, I know this is not relevant to people that didn't go to UBC, but for those of you that did, I'm so grateful that I was there for like the last year of the Pit, because it was grimy and it was great, and then they remade it and it was just not it. But anyway, so like I went there for the first time with him, and I was like, I don't know anybody else that's 19, and so like let's go, it'll be fun. So then that was the night that we hooked up. And then after that, he was like, yeah, I'm not interested in like actually continually like hooking up with you or like a relationship. And I was like, yeah, fine, like let's be friends. But he was like, I don't know how to manage that relationship. So he kind of just disappeared for a while. And that was fine, because I mean, it's like freshman year of university. So you're just kind of going through a bunch of people anyways. But then we were in the same classes. So then eventually we started talking again, and we became really, really good friends. And in my second year of university, I moved in with four of my really good girlfriends, and we thought it was going to be amazing. It was like the trap house.
I hear that's what a lot of people think, that when they move in with all their friends, they're like, this is going to be amazing.
I feel like in most cases that I've heard of, it's not amazing.
There's always at least one person that just fucks everything up.
Well, like that's the thing. We can get into this in like a whole other podcast, because this is a whole other
about
topic.
Roommates.
Yeah, but
which I necessarily don't have any experience with. My first roommate is Nina.
Yeah.
And it's a living hell. No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, amazing. So we can get into that later. But basically it was great, and then it wasn't. And so when it wasn't, it's hard when you're living with all your friends, because the people that you would normally confide in, be like, oh my god, my roommates suck, like this is what they're doing, like those are your friends. So we became even closer, because I just like wasn't really able to handle the situation like at home, and so I would stay at his and his roommate's place like maybe twice a week, like at their apartment, and it was great. Like we would all hang out, we were best friends, and I think like in the back of my mind I did always think like, yeah, like we get along really well, and so like maybe that would mean that we would get along really well if we actually dated. But when we were in like kind of like the deepest point of our friendship, I definitely did just like appreciate him as a friend. Like I would wonder it, but I was never like, okay, like I want to cross that threshold again, you know? And like we would always talk to each other about other people that we were like dating or seeing. Like it was very much like a very, very, very good friendship, and he was my best friend. And he went away to study abroad, and when he did, me and my friend actually went there for spring break to visit our other friend, but he was also there, so we were like, let's all hang out. And I think because he was studying abroad, I missed him so much, and I missed him a lot, I think, as a friend. But then at that time I was also going through like these, like, not even breakups, but like tumultuous relationships with guys that I was seeing. And so I think it just made me miss him in a way in which I thought it was romantic. And so when we went on this trip to go visit him, like, I guess he thought that I was being really weird. And this is like also the time when I just started my YouTube, so I vlogged that trip. And this is the first time that he had ever seen this side of me, or like me on camera. And I was so happy. Like, discovering YouTube like gave me kind of like my purpose back, and it really helped me after like a really bad breakup. So like I was so happy doing this craft, and it was the first time that he was seeing it. So I understand that it's like quite a jarring experience to see like your friend like talking to a camera. And I think he also had like his own opinions about what that means about people that do share their life so publicly on the internet. And so like he was saying that I had changed, like I was a different person, I was like putting on this whole persona. But like I very much felt, and I still do feel, that like who I am on camera is who I am in real life. And I think he was just not used to seeing that side of me. And there were just other things about that trip that made it so that we didn't get along as well as we normally do, which was kind of disappointing. But anyways, I like could tell that he was being weird. So I came back to Vancouver, and he basically told me that he didn't want to be my friend anymore. And he didn't even really open it up as a discussion of like, hey, like this is what was weird. It was just, yeah, he was like, yeah, I don't think that this is worth like fighting for, really. Like, I don't want to fix it. I don't like want to. And it was like, I was so taken aback by it. And like I had told him in that same conversation, I told him like, I think like I actually do like you. And the reason why I actually said that is because our very good friend had told me like, oh, like he actually sometimes like thinks about whether or not you guys would be good together. So then in my mind I was like, hey, we both think this, so it's like okay for me to say, hey, I think I might actually like you again. But then he was like, nope, never have, never will. And it was just like so mean. It was so mean. And I was like, it's okay if you don't feel that way, like I don't expect you to, but as my friend, like you should know that that really hurts. And like saying it in that way and like not wanting to fight for our friendship was like so hard for me. And so at first I was like, okay, like I completely understand. And then he was like, oh, okay, yeah, like cool, let's just like end this friendship. And then I was like, wait, no. And then I said my whole piece, and I was like, fuck you, like that sucks. Like you can't hurt me like that when you know that like you know what you did, and like it's just not fair to like end this without any kind of conversation and just saying like, oh, like you've changed, but like not allowing me to, like I never really talked to him about what this whole shift in my life meant to me. And like he just didn't want to hear it, which I thought was just kind of throwing away like all our years of friendship. And so he was like, oh, okay, like you know what, you're right, like we shouldn't do this over text, like let's call. And I was like, no, fuck you don't deserve that. And I never really talked to him. Dramatic. Yeah, I mean, I was like bawling. I was like full on bawling, because that's the thing, is that like I feel like if he was just another guy that had hurt me, and like, you know, if we were like romantically or sexually involved, like, you know, like okay, like you don't really owe me anything. But as like somebody that we considered each other to be like best friends, like how could you do that, you know? Like I just don't understand. Like, yeah, I don't understand how you can go from being as close as we were to just making so many assumptions about me, and then not wanting to try to fix it at all.
At that time, were you still going through like your other, like you said, like your toxic relationships, like your other things as well still? Like were you still in that
like with
process
my
of healing in a sense?
Oh yeah, very much. Yeah.
So how long do you feel like it took you, I guess, in comparison to like a relationship that doesn't work, as opposed to when you lost your best friend? Like how was that healing process for you?
I think that I held on to the bitterness a lot more. And I'm sure even as I'm talking about it now, like I wish him like nothing but the best, and we haven't talked since then, really. Like we were graduating from the same program, and so I saw him on our graduation day, and he was like, oh, Nina, and I was like, okay, hi. And then I walked away, and I think I am still very like bitter about it. Whereas I think with romantic relationships, I'm very much able to be like, you know, like we didn't work out, and so I wish you all the best, and I'm very like, you know, willing to like talk, and I want to know how you're doing, and I have a very, I think, positive and optimistic outlook on breakups after some time. But I feel like with my friendship, just because like I just feel like it wasn't dealt with properly. I didn't think that I deserved I don't think that I deserved to have it end the way that it did. You know, like it's totally fair if you don't want to be friends with me because maybe you can't deal with me being like, hey, like I think I like you, and then I ruined that friendship, you know, like because that's a thing. Like once, I don't know.
But it seemed like it was kind of going out the window in a sense, like even by you just being you, like
yeah,
especially like you embracing, you know, a new career path.
Yeah,
you know
I think that's what
like,
was like really painful. The other aspect that was really painful, I was like, this is something that brings me so much joy, and like you haven't asked me about it, you don't really seem to care, and like at that point, like, you know, I wasn't making like any money. Like I was literally, I just started, I just started doing videos. Like nobody was watching it. Like it was literally just, I'm doing this for fun. And like I understand, you know, like if you don't want to be in videos or like, you know, like those things are fair, but I think to be like, oh, you've changed and like you have all these different priorities and all this stuff, and I was like, I'm just having fun, and like it's something that brings me joy and is helping me out of my breakup. And he didn't even try to get like to understand.
He just went straight to judging you about it.
Yeah, so I was like, that's why also like I am bitter about it, but it's also like that friendship probably kind of ran its course anyways, because if you can't support me and like be happy for me, then like what are we doing here? You know? But yeah, enough about me. Let's get into your friendship breakup, because you have, I feel like, the breakup of the century. It feels way more dramatic than mine.
It is. I mean, I definitely talked about this a lot. For anyone that's been following us, they've probably heard this story a few times, but it was with my best friend that we actually met when we just came into high school. And the way high school works in Canada is you come in grade 8. So it's grade 8 to 12 is high school. So yeah, super young kids. Like we actually met earlier, like just playing basketball. But then when we had like the orientation day and like in school, like we just like hung out, and then we're like hung out the whole day and had a lot of like things that became our inside jokes and like really, you know, formed like a dope ass friendship. And then it was just super easy to just like hang out every day. And yeah, I think like we surprised each other a lot in regards to like, I thought like I was the only one that was like discovering like weird different music, whereas like I later found out that he was also discovering cool music. So we like came together and was just like listen to this dope ass music. And yeah, we just had a lot of similarities, and like at that time like a lot of our interests were like so the same. And for anyone that even met us in those years, like they'd be like, bro, like you guys are twins, like you guys are like the same person. I didn't know that existed. You know what I mean? Like we were just like really good like friends. We did everything together, play ball together, shop together, thrift together,
pick up girls together.
I didn't want to mention that, but
it's an integral part of
but that was our biggest pastime for sure. And we were I mean, if it's something that you can be good at, we were good at it together. You know what I mean?
Wingmanning each other.
It was just a great duo for sure. So yeah, a lot of like fun like nights where like, yeah, we would just stay up basically all night. Honestly, sounds romantic as fuck, but there would be nights where it was just me and him, and we would just sit in the car, talk about life and just talk about stuff, and just the most random shit too, like about like fucking outer space or whatever, you know what I mean? Like the most random shit until like the sun rises.
Yeah, like
and like we were kids.
Friendship, yeah.
Exactly, like we were kids, we didn't really have much to do, so like there weren't really like any real responsibilities or places to be, but yeah, like we definitely went through so much together. But with that, we went through a lot of turmoil, I guess. We had fights, you know what I mean? We had misunderstandings. There was a lot of jabs, I think, like in our relationship as well. And you know, I think that was also just like different points of views in regards to like how we were treated, you know what I mean? Like where I think from his family he would receive a lot of tough love. From my family I would receive way too much love.
love.
Yeah, so like
soft love.
those dynamics together maybe didn't work, right? Because I think a lot of times when he thought that he would be doing something that was beneficial to me, really just felt like he was attacking me, bringing me down, and like just trying to fuck with me, you know, like and like mess with me as a person. So yeah, we got into a lot of like fights and stuff. I think like when I played ball, when I like played college ball and I came back and we were just playing a little bit, and I don't know what the hell happened, but he just got real upset and started throwing punches, and that's where I was like, okay, this shit is fucked up. Like, this is not a real friendship. And he had a really tough time with apologizing. I don't think he's ever actually said sorry to me. And like, yeah, so like, he threw punches at me, and like that whole situation was fucked up and went out of hand, and like I personally feel like it 100% wasn't my fault because I was just playing the game. And then his apology was, "You want to get bruised?" And I was like, fuck, I'm a sucker for beer, so I'm like, let's go. So, I mean, never received an apology, and I think like that's just kind of like how our relationship was. But
I guess
again, like,
actually I have a question before we get into like the breakup part of it. Like, do you ever feel like, I think like when we talk about it, there's a lot of things that you feel like he did to you, and that like, like he was a very toxic friend. Do you feel like there are any ways in which maybe you were toxic to him, or like that like you guys were just toxic to each other so that the friendship wouldn't work?
Yeah, I think that's what like as I was saying, like there's obviously situations that happened to me that I can see that like it wasn't my fault, but I'm sure that there was a lot that I did as well. I think I know there's certain times where I think he probably expected me to react differently, and like
in what way?
I think the biggest thing would probably be we started like dating our first serious relationships around the same time.
Twin flames,
you know what I'm saying? So yeah, like my first girlfriend and then his first girlfriend, well, not his first, but like his first like real serious girlfriend.
Yeah.
And we started dating together, and like, yeah, like double dates all the time, and like relationship was great. And then I left for Serbia. This is the story where I got cheated on. And during that time too, like he was experiencing issues in his relationship, and I guess they parted ways as well. But so like his girlfriend obviously became one of my best friends as well. And so we would still hang out. And I think like the way that he views life is like, if anybody, he would do this to me, like, and I wouldn't ever ask for it, but he's like, if anybody did you dirty, I would cut them off, not talk to them.
Yeah.
I would say, fuck them. I hate those people. You know what I mean? And he did do that. Never really asked him to, but like, yeah, with my first girlfriend, be like, fuck that bitch. She ain't nothing. Like, no. Like, really just tear it. And that's the thing. I'm not that type of person that can tear someone down like that too, right? So, but I understand like the support. You know what I mean? I think like he expected that same support for like in regards
to, I'm gonna make her my best friend.
In regards to yeah. So I mean, I just continued our friendship as if it was all good, and just trying to understand the situation. And I don't know, but the other thing too with their relationship is that it was always off and on. So like, I can't just say fuck off and I'm not going to talk to this girl ever again, because a week later they'll be in a relationship again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They'd be together again. So it was a lot of that. But yeah, I think like that was like kind of the expectation. I can see that maybe that made him feel like that I was disloyal or whatever it may be, because I think loyalty was like a big thing to him, and like trust, because he doesn't just confine to any, or like doesn't, what is the word, to confide. That was what I said, confine, and I was like, that feels like you're trapped.
He doesn't confine himself.
He doesn't just confide himself to anybody, you know what I mean? So and I knew that it was really special that like he was able to tell me these things, and to other people he wasn't that vulnerable. Like he wouldn't allow himself to be that vulnerable. So what we had definitely was like very special to both of us. And I guess like with that, like now that I think that I answered your question, there's definitely times that I was just not to what he expected, I think.
Yeah. I think you guys, what it sounds like is that you guys needed different things in your friendship. Like he expected that loyalty, and what you expected was somebody that would be like, I mean, it sounds like he was vulnerable, but not vulnerable enough to be like, hey, like I was wrong, or like really have that type of open dialogue with you. So it was just like slight miscommunications.
And so that's kind of spot on.
Just analysis by Neens.
But yeah, there's a lot of like little details as to like what brought us to the giant boiling point. You know what I mean? Like,
wow, finish each other's sentences.
Exactly. Now you're my best friend. You filled that void.
The weirdest thing is that he was such a big part of your life, and I'd met him maybe like 1 or 2 times in passing. Like I'd seen him very briefly. Yeah, I'd seen him. I think it was seen. I was in the same room with him, but it's crazy because like I feel like me and Blue are obviously like a really big part of your life and he was a very big part of your life, and it's just so interesting that like we never cross paths or like it never overlaps. So yeah.
And that's the saddest part, because like I know throughout all of our relationship, like we always knew that, and this is sad to think, like even just to like say it now, but like we always knew that no matter what happened, we were aware of like how sometimes we would butt heads and our relationship would like go to shit, and like we would fight and argue, and like we always knew, or like we always talked about like we're brothers and brothers fight, and like no matter what, like we're always gonna be there for each other. You know what I mean? And that was like the hardest thing. Where it's like,
make me cry.
I know, B, hold them tears back, because if you cry, I cry. But yeah, that was just like, because like, yeah, he's like, dude, 100% I'm gonna be your best man at the wedding. Like, you know what I mean? Like all this shit, like, yo, like I'm not even religious, but he's like, I'll be the godfather to your kids. You know what I mean? Like all this shit, and like, and vice versa. You know what I mean? But like now it's just crazy to think that our life has went in completely different directions, and we've severed ties to the point where like that is never a reality. Do you know what I mean? Whereas like for a big chunk of our lives together, like that was an indefinite, that was like a for sure thing. Do you know what I mean? That like we will be homies for the rest of our life no matter what. Like even though we do fight, like we just brothers, and we gonna make it through. It's like family, you know what I mean? So
I guess I do want to ask you about like any potential desire to rekindle, but before we do that, we didn't actually we didn't go through the breakup.
We didn't go through the breakup yet. I mean, I don't know how much detail.
Like, I don't think you need to go into detail.
Not like so much detail.
But I think you can just express, you know, like essentially what happened and the pain that it caused.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of details, which I don't think is super necessary to share.
It is. And I think, so yeah, I guess to just jump forward into, I think I just wanted to give like, to preface that we did have a lot of little jabs and issues within our relationship. And the first thing was about like when he fought me when I just came back from like basketball practice and we were playing together. And I think I'm not gonna try and like assume too much about him, but I feel like a lot of our arguments were tied to usually when I do something where I felt like I was excelling. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, for instance, like I played college ball, and then I came back to just play like recreational ball, and then I took what I learned in college ball and it annoyed him in a sense. Do you know what I mean? And I think like that was something that maybe he didn't intend or was out of his control, but it got physical. And I think that brings up to the last kind of situation as well, where as I am in a serious relationship, and that kind of, you know, brought him to a sense where he felt like I needed to go back to where I was with him, because a lot of the jabs that he threw at me at that time was like, man, we used to like go out and get all the girls together, like why are you out here like tied down to one girl, you know what I mean? Which is like not really the best outlook on life, you know what I mean? And I tried to tell him about it, and that was just really conflicting within like our whole relationship, as, you know, as like three of us too, right? Like me, my girlfriend, and him. Like it just didn't work for any of us because of that type of behavior. And I tried to explain that to him, and yeah, I guess like to just give you a rundown of the situation was that we all played basketball, including my girlfriend at the time, and there was like a huge situation where I guess they got into an argument based on some altering views or different views on life, and I told him that I think that he should just apologize to her. Again, this is a guy that cannot apologize for the life of him. But I just said, like, don't apologize to me, apologize to my girlfriend. Yeah, but I just said, like, I think you should apologize to her, because I mean he said some hurtful things to her, or basically just some disrespectful things, and then he was like, okay, yeah, I get it, man. He's like, it's not the way I intended. It was just a joke. And then he's like, but I'll apologize. And then he sent her a text message that word for word says, no smoke, I just want to squash it. And to be honest, I don't even know to this day what that really means.
I'm sorry.
I guess, right? Is that a way of saying I'm sorry?
Yeah, I mean.
But, and then my girlfriend at the time just like put the phone in my face, and she's like, this is what your friend sent me, does that look like an apology? And I just kind of laughed. I was like,
that's the best you're gonna get.
Yeah, I mean, it's his way of apologizing. She didn't accept it, by the way. So the next day they went to go play basketball, and I was actually injured, so I just came to like watch, and they got into an issue together where it started off with, yo, I apologize, what the fuck is wrong with you, like how you not going, like you just gonna ignore me now? And then that situation turned to her going home early and me not even knowing because I drove her. So she took the bus home. And then I was like, all right, fuck it, I guess she's mad. So I just went home. And then I realized that my best friend at the time was messaging my ex-girlfriend. And then current girlfriend at the time. Sorry. Best friend at the time was messaging my current girlfriend at the time while I was at home. And they were just going off on each other. And guess to give y'all a rundown as well, like, again, this was a friend that I would confide with and tell everything and my darkest, deepest secrets, and he would do the same to me. And then there is my girlfriend who obviously I would tell everything as well, right? So that, like, you know, we're all in the loop. You never expect that, you know, one of the peoples would decide to use these certain informations as ammo.
Sensitive information.
Highly sensitive, confidential information
I think, like, also,
as ammunition.
We should note that I know that I do have friends that have very different views about this, where, like, there's the people that, you know, would respect that and, like, not, I guess, share information. But I feel like with our relationship, it is so open that I feel like for the most part, like, we kind of know everything. And yeah, I feel like
I mean, that's how I feel too. I feel like, you know, your partner, you tell them everything, right? Like, yeah. But anyways, just to get back to, like, the situation, there's just, like, a detail that I want to express, which is about how I never intended for it to, like, become what it was. Do you know what I mean? I never intended that me sharing this certain information would actually like be an issue, because my initial reasoning for doing it was for them not to butt heads as much as they did. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, they all went through certain things that made them who they are, and I just needed them to, like, understand why they are the way they are sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, why, you know, certain people, you know, retaliate in certain ways, or why they behave in certain ways. And, like, these are kind of the reasonings behind it, and I think you should respect that. You know what I mean? And, like, because everyone's going through some shit. And I think, like, I just didn't want them to be misunderstood, at least to each other. You know what I mean? And I understand that, like, again, with my friend, like, where I was toxic was probably that same vision of, like, my loyalty and, like, things like that. So I think I can understand that, you know, that I probably did cross some lines in regards to, like, his views on trust and loyalty. But then where I do have an issue with it is that I feel like he has actually contradicted himself, because I saw all the messages in regards to, like, what they were texting to each other through my girlfriend's phone, because she showed me everything, and he's actually the one to, like, fully initiate it and really poke at it, whereas he started off with, like, information that is 100% private, that he knows that he only knows because of me. Do you know what I mean? Like, no one else can know that information because of me. And it's even funny to go further in detail, like, my girlfriend at the time was using information that was still public. You know what I mean? Was, like, based on, like, you know, him and his relationship with his girl, that was public because they were also friends. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, but then obviously she started digging in, because it was like, he's gonna keep going, so then I'll keep going too. So then it went completely out of hand between them two, and that was honestly the last conversation that I had with my friend, because he was like, I can't believe you told her the things that I can't believe you told her those things. And basically he's like, I just can't be your friend no more. And at that time too, because of how many other things were compounding in our relationship in regards to, like, just how we've went different paths.
And it was, like, very competitive.
It was very competitive and just, like, very jabby, you know what I mean? Like, we were just, like, it just seemed like it was never fun. Like, it was never really fun too. Like, when we did actually hang out, it was like, all right, I'll try and make time to hang out, because, like, I got a lot busier too, like, with work and, like, with helping my girl with what she was doing and everything like that. And when we did hang out, it was just it wasn't happy. Do you know what I mean? And then, like, and I realized, like, he probably needed me and I was there for him, but, like, I just felt like I never left with a good feeling. Do you know what I mean? And, like, and I think he never left with a good feeling also.
Is it just because you guys, like, grew apart, or is it, like, what you guys were doing?
I think we just, I think it was just what we were, it's complicated, really, to be honest. Like, I think it was
just a feeling.
It was mostly because, like, I guess he was just sleeping with a bunch of random girls and, like, wanted me to come back to that lifestyle. But, like, I was expressing to him that, I mean, that's the other thing too. I was expressing to him what made me happy and unhappy in my relationship. Do you know what I mean? I think in the same time he also thought that and he was right, I could be happier. Do you know what I mean? And like that wasn't the person for me, and I just kept fighting to make it work. But in the same time, that relationship did make me cry a lot and make me really like, you know, hate myself in a sense. And I think he saw that as well. But I think the approach towards it. No, I'm not crying. There's actually just something in my throat. I swear to God. I swear to God, I was just talking too much. The air's dry. There's smoke in Vancouver. What was I saying?
That you were in an unhappy relationship and you saw that.
Yeah, so I guess like I can understand that like he was maybe trying to help as well, so maybe that's why our relationship was going the way that it was. Was him just trying to help me in a way that I don't know if we fully understood each other in that time. And it's funny actually, before the shit hit the fan, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Before the shit the fan, I actually bumped into you, and that was when we had our first like little encounter. And I was sitting in the car with him, and I was like, man, like, I don't know if I should be feeling this way, like, you know. And I was like really talking to him about like, man, I have a girlfriend, and like, but this girl walked into the print shop and she was so pretty, and like I felt like there was just an instant, you know, and Nina's smiling right now, and I was just expressing to him like this is an instant connection, like, look, this is her Instagram, and he was like, oh, she's cute, and like going, he's like, I can see y'all together, like, and he's like, that's sick, man. And then I was saying some things where like I followed you, and then my partner got mad, so then I was like, I guess I should unfollow you because she's just too upset, and like went into this whole thing, and then they got into their whole issue, and yeah, it was just so fucked up. But I continued my relationship with that girl for at least, I think it was like another month or so, and then our shit hit the fan, and that was not even based on any of those situations. I mean, there was a lot of situations that happened in our relationship, but it wasn't even
your
that.
Girlfriend, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't because of my friend. Like, it was just because like us just wouldn't work, and you know, that ship sailed. So when that happened, I messaged you, and I honestly have not heard anything from that friend. But the first time that I posted an Instagram post with you, I saw that he liked it, and that was the last time I ever saw him active on Instagram. So I mean, at least like I felt like that was like that kind of like
bittersweet.
It was, yeah, it kind of had that. I mean, it could just be in my head, but it was kind of just like that. He's like, I saw you with that girl that you were showing me, and I'm happy. And he just double tapped it, and was just like, you know, kind of just like, was
just
like,
sending you off.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's actually crazy, like thinking about when I did come into your life, like you had just come out of, like, it wasn't
breakups.
just, 2 breakups. And I didn't really, like, I mean, you cried a lot. You cried a lot, like the first couple
And I cried a lot about both
months.
of them.
Yeah, the first couple months of our relationship, because you were healing from both of them. And I think that's why, like, we say that friendship breakups do hurt more, because I think that you've, I mean, also, like, the conditions were different, how your 2 relationships ended, but I feel like you kind of reach a sense of closure sooner with like a romantic partner, because you're like, you know, it's like, okay, like, yeah, things could have been done differently, but we're like gonna find better people. But with a friendship, like, you really feel like that's your person, you know, or like nothing's gonna come between you can get through anything. And yeah, I feel like, even I think now, I had mentioned recently that I was like, yeah, like, it's actually so funny thinking about how much you used to think about this friend, but like, do you even really now? Because Blue just occupies like our brain 24/7. But like, it's just crazy, like how fast things change. But also, like, I don't know if you still are like seeking closure, or like, I don't know, how do you feel about the situation? Because like, would you have done things differently? Do you think that if that situation didn't happen, you guys would still be friends, or would it have, because it already felt like it was gonna, that you guys were going different directions?
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like it would have, the situation was almost inevitable. Like, because like, even without the big bang, so to speak, like that big issue, like, it would have just deteriorated. You know what I mean? Because it just wasn't really healthy. But I think the reason why a best friend breakup hurts more than like a girlfriend or like a partner breakup is because as toxic as we were, like we looked at each other as brothers, as family.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like that's like as toxic and as shitty as things can get, like we still are there for each other.
Yeah, like that's family.
Yeah. But like with a partner, it's like if shit gets toxic and fucked up, like you just shouldn't.
Yeah, peace.
You shouldn't stay. You should go.
You should leave. Yeah.
And you know, because you should keep looking because there's something different for you. But I think with best friends, it's tough. It's tough to really just.
You should still leave because I think that it brings us back to like that toxic friendships podcast episode that we did way back when you know like you shouldn't tolerate that kind of energy in your life. But I think it definitely is like very painful. I think it's painful to...
You shouldn't tolerate it, but it's harder to cut that tie, for sure. Because it's just like, I can't fully explain it, like, in words, but it's just like, it is just harder to cut a friend out than it is to cut out...
Yeah, depending on the type of friendship,
someone that you're just, like, dating.
Yeah, I never had... I guess, like, we probably could do a whole other podcast episode about this, too. There's so much you can say about friendships, but... I guess, like, I never really had a relationship like that. I've had a lot of people that I would consider best friends in my life, but I feel like we always not even go our different ways, but, like, you know, like, I've moved cities and I have other, like, interests or, like, my life takes me in different directions, and so I'll always meet new people, and I think that the way that I view friendship is very low maintenance because, like, I have a lot of people that I would consider myself very close to, and when we're together, like, it's like nothing, like nothing's changed, but we don't, like, continue, like, I don't have anybody that I, like, constantly text or, like, where I'm, like, very, very up to date, like, on their life. It's more of, like, hey, like, let's catch up.
And that's how I felt like we were as well. Like, we would have times where, you know, he would travel to Europe a lot and stuff like that, and, like, Africa, and then in Asia as well, and then come back.
Gotta be, he's well-traveled.
He's a well-traveled man, you know what I mean? Knew many languages, had multiple jobs that were interesting. But anyways, like, yeah, he was an interesting dude. Like, he's a cool dude. But, like, like, we would have times where we just, like, wouldn't speak for so long, but, like, when we did, it was obviously, like, the same, you know what I mean? But then it just came to a point where it just wasn't, you know? And I think, like, we were just in different places, and, you know, I was experiencing change, and I also experienced him going through change, and I felt like, we grew apart. Yeah. Essentially, we wanted different things in life, and that was it. And
do you have any regrets about the situation?
I don't have any regrets about how, I mean, like I said, like, I felt like it was inevitable. And there's, like, not really much I can change. Like, it's either I'd have to compromise myself to fit in a mold where... I mean, the only way that our situation would be better if I said, yeah, fuck this girl, and I left her right there, and I just started, like, going to clubs and sleeping with girls with him. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That's the only time that it would be better. Yeah. And I'd be like, fuck that, let's just do whatever the hell we want. You know what I mean? But that wasn't the lifestyle I wanted. Like, I already, like, set my mind to, like, be serious and, like, try and find a serious relationship and, like, have it go somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to move out. I wanted to have a kid. You know what I mean? And, like, it didn't work with the last one, you know? So, but that was my goal, and that's, like, what I wanted. And, like, when I met you, I didn't expect that it would go that way, but, like, that, it was my ultimate goal, is that, like, I wanted to just continue a life, to build a family, and not just go to the club and do fuck shit. You know what I mean? Because it's, like, I don't know, the cool thing to do or whatever it may be. Like,
well, you just, like, you grew
I grew out of that. Like, I just didn't want to stay there. So the only way that I guess, like, our relationship would work is if I did that, but that would mean compromising the route and the goal that I wanted to go. And ultimately, I'm happier where I am. So, like, that was a situation that had to happen. So I can't regret it. But it just does... It's just unfortunate that, like, we couldn't go in the same direction or, like, find a way to, like, have it be neutral.
Well, I feel like it's less about... I feel like it's less about having the same lifestyle, because I feel like that's kind of the same as, like, saying that, you know, now that we're parents, that we need to have parent friends, and, like, we can't be friends with people that are still going to clubs and things like that. And I don't think that's necessarily true, but I feel like what it really comes down to is both your friendship breakup and mine is being happy for your friend. And I think that's, like, when we were talking about toxic friendships, things like that, like, that's what it is. If your friend or anybody in your life can't be happy for you, like, that's like an instant red flag, because then what else are we here for? You know, like, we can have different lifestyles and we can have different goals, and I think that that's what makes friendships really interesting and cool too. But, like, if you can't be happy for me and celebrate my successes, like, And if I don't feel like I want to do that for you, like that's a red flag, you know, because I've definitely had friendships where not that I like didn't want to celebrate their successes. That feels like a really weird way of saying it, but I feel like I didn't want to make time for them, or like, you know, like when you have that
to, in a sense?
Yeah, like when I didn't care to, and like when you have that type of feeling towards a friendship that should be, in my opinion, like very supportive and very happy and loving, then like what are we doing here?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, yeah, we definitely could have found like that compromise where we could at least like link up and, you know, talk about deeper things together and like be able to be there for each other even though our paths are different. But yeah, it just didn't really seem, it's not that like, yeah, our lifestyles didn't align and that's why. It's kind of everything. It's just like, you know, I think maybe it's because he's a Gemini, but he would switch up like where it's like sometimes he'd be happy for my successes or like the things that I'm doing well. But then like sometimes he just wouldn't focus on that. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it was just a difficult situation. I think I can't regret what happened, and yeah, I just had to learn to move on. And like yeah, I guess the one thing which I just want to say, like, because it's kind of funny or interesting, but like I went to go play basketball with my brother and then he was there and like we don't talk, like, and I wouldn't say it's awkward. It's pretty awkward, but like, cause it's like we're just not in the same place that we were, which is just so
even
weird.
Weirder to play basketball together because you guys like have to communicate.
And
but
we played on the same. We played on the same team too, which was
not
funny.
passing to each other.
But yeah. So like at the end, like, you know, I'm sitting on one side of the bench just getting changed, and then he's sitting next to my brother, and they're like shooting his shits, just talking about stuff. You know, like how's life? You know, like. And then my brother goes like, oh, by the way, like Daeon's having a kid. Like his partner's pregnant. And he's like, oh shit, like no way. And then he just sat there, and then he like, I can see that he was like very contemplative, and then he came up to me, he's like, hey man, like congrats, he gave me daps, and he's like, congrats man, like that's a big deal, like congrats on being a father. And I was like, I mean, I wasn't a father at that time, like I was just, you were pregnant, but anyways, but I was just like, yeah, thanks man, I appreciate it. And like, and then my brother drove me home that day, and he's like, oh, see, you guys like patched it up, you guys are like great friends again. And I was like, trying to explain to him that that's still a big difference. Like, you know what I mean? Like from being someone that said, I'm gonna be the best man at your wedding and I'll be like the, you know, there every step of the way and like be the godfather to your kid, to just giving me, you know, a handshake essentially and saying, yo, congrats man, that's a big deal. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So that's where that's where I want to end it. Yeah. There's some hurt there, yeah, because like obviously that's, you know, that's, it's not the same.
Okay, to end it, I want the last thing. Is there a potential for rekindling? I know that you've tried. I know that, you know, like when we did the Saturday morning cereal, like that was another really big dream realized for you when we did our cereal pop-ups, and something that he knew that you wanted to do. And so like,
something that he knew and like was like, you should definitely do it.
Yeah. And so like you invited him to the pop-up and he didn't show up. So I know that you have like
multiple
reached out
times.
to him. Yeah, I know that you have reached out to him. So the conversation isn't really, you know, would you, because you have and it went nowhere. But I think maybe I would want to know where you're at if like he did actually reach out and genuinely was like, hey, like I want to just know what's up. Like I want to catch up, see how you're doing, and like, you know, not even dive into like a full-fledged friendship again, because I think that's like a lot, but like just to talk. Would you?
100%. Yeah, I'm always down to just like talk and like catch up with people.
Very forgiving.
And like, yeah, like 100%. And that's the thing, like he never actually apologized to me.
Yeah.
And I would still forgive him for years.
Would you still want an apology?
At this point, no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I'm so over it.
Yeah.
It's like it's so far gone. But like, yeah, it would be nice, and I would appreciate it, and I would definitely like love to go for a coffee and just talk and like, you know
how he's
talk
doing.
about what's happening, just like know how he's doing, and like just making sure that he's good and his family's good, and just like wanting to hear that. But yeah, like going into like full-fledged like, yo, we're best friends again, like that, I don't see that as a possibility. So like that's not something that's like in my head, because I just I like feel like the gap was too long, and just like,
well, you never know. I mean, we have a lifetime ahead of us, but yeah, I feel like
I've never had experience of like
I've
never had experience of like getting back together with an ex, and I don't feel like that this is essentially like any different. So like I don't know if anyone out there has like had like a huge gap with like a breakup and then continued a relationship and it worked really well, then that's amazing. But like I haven't actually like experienced that myself, so like I don't actually know. For me, I feel like it would be so awkward for me to like get back together with my
I think
ex.
that the thing is that like it would have to, I think similar to a relationship, like I definitely, like with my first boyfriend, like we broke up and then after a couple months I wanted to get back together, but it wouldn't have worked out because we didn't change as people, you know, like our problems would still be our problems. So I think with you and your friend, the way that I see it is that like if like something would have to change, and you've changed so much as a person and I'm sure he's changed a lot too, but like is that change in a way where you guys would still be compatible as friends and be able to meet each other where you're at, or is it, you know, changing in even a further direction where
I'm sure even our music tastes changed, so it's like how do we even share that, you know what I mean?
it's not just
how do we share the things
that just music though, B, but yeah
I know, but like like it's how do we share those when we I mean I'm at a loss for words right now, but like that's just, who knows, those are all like hypotheticals, but like I would definitely like be down to catch up and talk, but I just don't really see the possibility of us like becoming buddy again, you know what I mean? But it would be great to like hit him up to, you know, play ball every once in a while, like you're just casually, you know, say something, but the fact that it's just like it's so dead, you know what I mean? Like it's like
it's a dead thing.
where it's like I wouldn't even know how to contact him, do you know what I mean? Like that's like the point where we're at, you know what I mean, where it's just like, I mean, I have the same phone number, he can call me if he wants, so you know what I mean, but like I'm pretty sure everything has changed because I've definitely tried to find him on IG, it's gone.
I definitely do creep my old friend and I'm like, how are you doing?
But that's the thing.
I just want to know that people are okay. Like, I don't need you in my life necessarily, but I want to know that you're good because you were a special person to me at one point. So yeah, I feel like this is a good place. Unless you had anything else you wanted to share, I think this is a good place to end it. You can follow us on IG. Our handle is Neens Deens. I am your girl Neens,
and I'm Daniel's Day Off.
And I hope that you guys have a beautiful day.
A great day. The best of days.
The best of days. Treasure your friends.
Yeah, hold them tight.
Let them know that you love them. Honestly, though, like the other day I was journaling and I was feeling so happy that I reached out to like all my friends, like past and present, and I was just like, I really appreciate you. Like, I love you and thank you for being in my life. Sweet. Yeah, I just like had this surge of, I don't know, journaling does that.
Yeah, I don't do that enough.
Yeah, I
should definitely appreciate the friends that I have.
Yeah, it's like your friends, anybody that's like really special to you, because you really never know. And like, I think that it's nice to know that you're appreciated. You know, like everybody likes to feel appreciated. 100%. So, and I don't do that enough. I definitely don't verbally affirm people enough, as you know.
As I feel.
As you feel, yeah. So I did that and it made me feel really great because I was able to express how I truly feel about the people that I really care about, and I think it probably made them pretty happy too. So,
I'm sure it did.
Yeah. But anyways, have a beautiful day, have a great week, and we'll see you guys next week.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.